The two things that I wanted to be when I was little was a musician and a dad someday. Home was always the hardest part for me. And that's been really challenging at times and really incredible to learn about this thing I had heard about, which is the expansiveness of love if you stay. I'm choosing to make it all sound pretty positive, but I will say like there's a side to it that is hard.
Hello and welcome to the Small Boat Podcast. I am AJ Delario. We are a podcast that expands the definition of recovery, where we talk about things related to mental illness, alcohol, love, sex, food, debt,
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. My guest today is Langhorne Slim. He's a singer-songwriter. I've seen you called a troubadour a lot, and I'm just like, man, does that bug you?
A little bit.
That's right. See, I knew it. Yeah. But Langhorne and I, we are talking about a lot of stuff related to kind of anxiety, new parenthood and sobriety, figuring out exactly this, like, where your home is, spiritually and geographically.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Come on.
I was just watching you riff. I was impressed. I think you nailed it.
He's in town. He's playing the Troubadour tonight, and his new album is The Dreaming Kind?
Yes. The Dreaming Kind.
Yeah. How long have you been on the road?
In my life or right now?
Now.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your family coming with you?
Nope. They're at home.
You live in Nashville?
No? Yeah. About last 15 years, yeah. It's proved, it's a dance. Do you have kids?
That's all we're going to talk about. Is basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 3.
We'll talk about kids and sobriety and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. It's hard for me to talk about where my inspirations to write songs and what does this mean and that mean.
You've had success in a way that, most people would kill for. And I love the stuff that you basically were talking about too, about kind of the choices of licensing your music out to commercials and how that kind of like pays your band, funds you think that gives you your life.
When you and I were growing up in Bucks County, I don't know, I'm just meeting you now, but like my heroes and like, rebel musicians and these types of, punk rock figures would scoff at the idea of licensing a song to a fucking commercial. I licensed a song for a Walmart commercial. When I got the call from my manager, I said, thank you. But no, thank you. I can't do that. And then I spoke to, at the time, my girlfriend, now my fiance, and I spoke to my mother. And I said, get this, I just got this call. And they said, have you forgotten that in 6 months you have a child coming? And I go, they're like, go get the money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't make a living on selling records or really even, they all kind of help each other.
Sure.
But when those opportunities have come up, there was another one, I can't remember what it was for, but there was another one that I did that helped me fund the record independently that I was making at the time. So in that way, it's like, it's very freeing, and it's also like, it's conflicting too, but it's the dream ever since I was a little kid, as far as music, was to be able to play music, connect with people, whether I was like playing on a beach. Like, this is how I thought of it. I was going to be like without a home and with a guitar, like one of these dudes on the beach, or a massive star. What I didn't take into account is that there's a lot of room in between.
Yeah.
And that's where I've existed as a working, musician for all these years. So it changes depending on where your life is and what your goals are at the time, to stay true to what you're trying to do and how you manage to do that.
Right. Do you when you play in Philly, do you go through Bucks County at all?
Well, I did forever up until recently. My mom and grandmother just moved to Nashville like a year ago.
Yeah.
But she sold, it was the house that my brother and I grew up in, and she lived for 40 years. It was a trip.
Yeah, I'm sure. You don't have any kind of resentment towards that town?
I did.
When did that?
And
because I still do, I think.
Yeah. When did that end? I kind of held that town, especially in like Neshaminy and all that, as like definitely a place that I didn't get and didn't get me. Though not my street. My street where I grew up was very like old fashioned, like idyllic in a way, where all the neighbors were friends and took care of each other. And my childhood best friend is still a dear friend of mine. So there were like really beautiful aspects of Langhorne, Pennsylvania. But as a whole, bleak, man.
Yeah.
And I definitely carried some feelings for that. I will say that Neshaminy is now, I think it's St. Mary's Hospital. They knocked down Neshaminy and built some extension to the hospital. But this was years ago. I drove by and I saw that middle school in just a pile of rubble, and it gave me an immense feeling of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, you know, man, at this stage, and now I look back at teachers that I had such a hard time with, who I am now probably 20 years older than, you know, meaning like when I was 10, 12, 14, they were probably like in their mid-20s. I don't know, but probably. And it's just people that were just doing the best with what they could do. And with like the school thing, which I do still hold I have a lot of resentment toward institutions, societal conditioning, the public school system and all that. But it's like for those individuals, they were just doing the best that they could within the confines of what the curriculum that they had. And for kids that didn't fit into that, there just wasn't room for them. And I think those towns are the same way. It's like you either, you know, you probably know a bunch of kids, I'm assuming, I do, that you grew up with that stayed in the town.
They're
and maybe
teachers at Council Rock.
There you go. Or maybe they took, you know, took after their fathers and and that was never going to be my path. And no shade on that path. But it's like, if that wasn't, if you were seeking something outside of that box was going to fucking feel suffocating.
Yeah, and I think that the lot that I had to kind of work through time, because I mean, I always felt, especially in my 20s, when it seemed like everyone else had figured out what they wanted to do, or becoming a teacher, or like, you know, working in sales, or starting their own company, or whatever. And I was waiting tables, being a studio rat, like writing for like the, you know, the Horsham in Bucks County Courier Times and stuff like that, like as a stringer. And, you know, watching them grow up and be able to afford apartments. And I'm like still at my parents. And like,
that's, you know, part of the societal conditioning that I resent, because good for them. And if they like doing that and that feels true to their path, that's fucking beautiful. But it doesn't make somebody a fucking loser or dumb or wrong for chasing their, you know, I guess in a sense, well, I don't guess, I'm very fortunate that there was one creative path, a lot of paths within that, but it was very clear I wanted to play music. And that was it. But if you're a creative person and you're trying to figure out which avenue to go down, that might take a little while to, and I long for a world that there's grace and space for that.
I know.
So that you don't get forced into something that you're then going to just be probably a drunk or an addict and probably completely unfulfilled and maybe full of rage and depressed.
And it was just, it wasn't them making me feel that way. It was me making me feel that way, right? The thing that sticks with me, and I just discovered this, there's a Wikipedia page for like Council Rock High School and has like famous alumni. And I'm like, I'm more famous than this one.
I've done the same thing, dude. Langhorne, my mom will tell me, you made like most notable, one of not the most, or
Right.
I don't know, but you're on this list, and one. I'm like, well, I should hope so. Like, there's not that, and then the other one is, well, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm like, hey, I were, and especially with Churchville, Pennsylvania, because Churchville, Jay Wright, head coach of Villanova University, basically just like, I was best friends with his younger brother. So, they have Churchville notable, and I'm like, there's no way I'm not number 2. And I'm fucking not. And it like bugs the shit out of me. I'm just like, I know I'm not Jay Wright.
Yeah.
But like, I've got enough like Google kind of just like, a decade's worth of notable and infamous shit that I basically should.
And the day that they put you number 2, and dare I even say number 1, it'll make you feel good for 20 minutes and you probably won't ever think about it again.
It's not true. I will
really?
absolutely print it out. I will have watch like horror movies all night, basically just like it's a huge party. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Well, invite me to that party.
That is like my goal in life, basically just like to be Churchville, notable like, residents. And if I make that list, that's fine.
Well, I can relate to that in the sense that in Langhorne, the first, and now if it happens, but the first couple of times that I was like recognized or somebody was kind to me for my music, because that took a long time to happen there.
Sure.
That hit different than, and it always makes me feel nice if somebody stops me and says nice things about what I do. But it hits different there.
Right. But how do you, because this is the interesting part that I'm still trying to figure out. Like, when did I actually make the choice to, why did I go to law school? Like, why did lots of people got to hear music and then basically just like, oh, I like this band. Not many people kind of say, well, I'm going to do that for the rest of my life, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at least I can't say for you, but for me, I was born with that insanity. Mm-hmm. There was never a plan B.
Yeah.
There was never one.
And your parents didn't push you towards a plan B?
No.
Really?
No. I think I was sweet, but I was a difficult child.
Okay.
And I think it was pretty clear that academia wasn't where I was going to thrive and flourish. Though when I went to that school in New Hope, Pennsylvania, I wound up doing good because there was teachers there. It was a small enough school that education could be more expansive in how they were presenting it, and it wasn't so rigid.
Gotcha.
And in the rigidness of public schools, somebody like me is just gonna fucking perish. And I don't perish easily. I go down with a fight.
Sure.
So no, I think for my mother is a great singer. She did not take that path, but probably could have. And she did a bunch of different things. Like I told you, she was a co-owner of the Jenkintown Cheese Shop, and then later in life, actually became an attorney for a while. That was another dream of hers to do that. But so I think that maybe there was a part of her that dug that I was doing it, but just saw that it was such a positive force in my life.
Yeah.
And that it, almost as soon as I started doing it, some little doors opened up. Like right away I could start from an open mic. I could then play a little show, got a little record deal. So there were opportunities, and like there was sort of a yellow brick road to follow.
Right. Did you ever do anything else while you were coming up? I mean, did you wait tables or do bartender?
Worked at the Sunoco.
Okay.
Got fired. I worked
doing the register or doing the pump?
No, it was right by the Oxford Valley Mall. Actually,
Okay.
You've probably driven by it.
Yeah.
I think it was all self pump.
Right.
I was a register guy.
Got it.
That sucked.
Yeah.
Wawa, worked in several Wawas. Margate, New Jersey.
Nice.
Maybe Ben Salem or Holland. Anyway, I wasn't good at holding these jobs. And I had some early loves in my life that helped me, I think, with places to stay.
Got it.
Just pretty stereotypical musician shit.
I've read The Dirt by Motley Crue.
Yeah. I've not, but I could only imagine.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely been helping hands along the way, but there was also just, it wasn't a decision for me as far as like, I'm going to have to be brave and persistent. Like it's
That's who you are.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm also a very sensitive, and I think a lot of artistic, creative people are very sensitive. And so I have learned that the industry of it all can be quite abusive if you, when you're young, and even to this day, like if you're not in a good place within yourself, and it's like an abusive relationship to keep it going.
Right.
But yeah, I had nothing. There's been a couple of times where I'm like, I don't know if I could do this anymore. But I feel like that only.
Why? At what moment did that?
My ego, my expectations, and my attachment to those things.
Sure. What was the most recent time that happened?
The most recent time that it happened in like a hardcore way was because I got sober over a decade ago. And at that time, I just quit drinking and quit drugs. I made a decision on my 33rd birthday. And somehow I managed to do that for a few years, but I didn't do any like program stuff. I didn't do any therapy. And then I put out a record that people around me, and myself included, were really excited about. And I was getting calls from, you know, the manager at the time and the label, and like, you know, I hope you're ready. This is gonna happen. And it came out, and it didn't happen. What it is,
don't know.
I have ideas of what it is. You know, my ego has ideas, and my dreams have. You know, I still have ambition to. I'm delighted to be playing the Troubadour tonight. I see that it's low tickets, and I'm grateful for that.
Right.
But there's a fucking voice inside my head that's like, why isn't this shit sold out? Let me take a step back to hopefully take a step forward, and we'll see what winds up happening. The last time that I felt, and this was, maybe it's 10 years ago, so that record came out, and there's a song on that record that's one of my, you know, biggest songs to the people that know my stuff, and I sing it every single night, and proud of the record.
Yeah.
So in essence, I'm doing exactly what I set out to do as a child.
Sure.
Right? But it didn't put us onto the bus, right? And there wasn't a sold out tour and lines of, you know, screaming people.
Right.
And at that same time, and so I'd just gotten sober, and I hadn't learned any sort of real tools, didn't know that I needed any real tools to exist as a sober person.
Yeah.
So the hunger that I think, and the energy that I put into drinking and drugs and all that craving went into this other stuff, which had already been before, but now I had shut that stuff down, and it was just going wild for this other shit. And it wasn't nothing would have fed it enough, I don't think.
Right.
But it wasn't being fed. And then I met somebody, I was single at the time, I met somebody, and it all went into that as well. So I was like, if I could get her, long story short-ish, if I could get her attention and the validation, I guess, and the ears and hearts and eyes on my deepest love, which is the music, then I will be whole and complete. And though that might sound silly, within myself, that's what I believed. And there's a part of myself that still believes that. I'm still, maybe that's part of the human fucking condition. Maybe that isn't all sickness. I mean, it's sickness when it gets to the point that we destroy ourselves and let the craving, I think, annihilate us. Whatever that might be, drugs, drinking, women, men, money, success, whatever. So none of those things were dancing with me in the way that I wanted them to dance with me, which was my career at the time and this woman. And I just couldn't handle it. I wanted to quit the tour. And shortly thereafter, I started to use drugs again.
Got it. Yeah. And this was the Benzo era? Is this the
This is the
anxiety,
Benzo-
depression? Okay.
Benzo era.
Got it.
Which started with some benzo, just getting some of that from friends, who may or maybe didn't know my complete history, and like Adderall. And then once I would go up, I would need to ease the coming down part.
I mean, that was I was an up guy.
Yeah.
I was also a sideways guy.
Yeah.
I wasn't a down guy. I was so that's when I started to bring in Benzo's Klonpit, all of that stuff.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're not drinking and you're going, with whatever you're going up on.
Mm-hmm.
I needed something to take that edge off.
That's right. Yeah, and it takes the edge.
It takes the edge off, but then, as you know, so well, you're trying to. It's a vicious cycle, and you're trying to. At least I was trying to kind of constantly curate the right cocktail.
That's the perfect word for it. Is that curation part?
Yeah,
because I lost sight of. It took me so much to. When I was at my tail end, I would probably only work on a Wednesday. And because Wednesday was kind of coming down from Tuesday, but not yet Friday. And then I would have to type. And then I would have to kind of just figure out which things to put in my body so I could type maybe half hour.
Yeah.
Just to put, and it was never coherent. It was never good.
Yeah.
But I felt that energy.
Yeah.
And it sucked because I couldn't put it anywhere. And then I would be just like, okay, well, I need this perfect moment. And it never works that way. And sobriety at least taught me discipline, right? And respect for what I do. Right?
Yeah. Ironically, for me, during my relapse, which I'm bad at time, but I think it was about 2 years to the last year actually living out here, and it got really gnarly. I didn't write shit. And I came out here I started getting fucked up again. I came out here, which is hilarious, to get healthy. Mm-hmm. Which, if you're disciplined to get healthy here, I'm sure it's very possible. Right. But I came out here with the reemerging drug addiction and just like a loss of self and, self-love and care. And now I lost my train of thought.
That's right. 2 years you didn't write.
That's what I was going to say. And I came out here to get healthy and to finish a record. Didn't ever finish the record. And probably went a year without really writing. Maybe I wrote a couple of songs.
Yeah.
But I mean, by far the longest period that I've ever gone without, really with some sort of creative effort that I could do something with.
What were you waiting for?
Well, I think... What do you mean, what was I waiting for?
Well, I mean, were you waiting to get sober or healthy, or were you waiting for inspiration at that point? Or could you even distinguish between what the craving was?
I think because all of my addictive tendencies, once I started using drugs again, though I never drank again, which is weird to me.
It is weird.
But everything else was just going haywire. So my cravings for connection with people in both my music, but also in my personal life, was just unhinged. Mm-hmm. Maybe that says enough about that.
Yeah.
Spending, it got to a point, man, I was spending every day, I was walking down on Skid Row. Some of these guys were nice and they were just like, you shouldn't be down here. I was like, well, because I was trying to keep it a secret so much, maybe even like from myself, that doesn't make any sense. So I wasn't seeking out an actual like dealer. So I was just going down there and asking these guys where I could score, just like crazy shit. Right. And I think that there's also a part of me that I don't like getting hurt, but I like to be in dangerous scenarios or in places that maybe I don't exactly belong.
Yeah.
And so I just lost the connection to everything that I deem to be divine, which is my creativity. Right. I couldn't sit here and look you in the eye. I couldn't look people in the eye anymore.
No, I was terrible at it.
Yeah. And I like to look people in the eye. The real authentic connection is really what is like my drug of choice. That's why music is so fucking divinely powerful, is that it offers that. And so, yeah, for that last year, it was like, what was I looking for? What was I waiting for? I don't know. I just got myself into such a state that I couldn't stop. And then I moved back to Nashville, and the first thing I did, it was a really rough trip with one of my best friends who I just said, I'm going to move back to Nashville. You want to take a road trip with me? And he's a great artist and videographer, a brother to me. And didn't tell him that I was trying to wean myself off of all this shit. And we took this ride back. And this is a guy that before that I don't think I'd ever seen even get annoyed at me, which is rare. Truly loves me as I do him. And he just, throughout that trip, seemed angry, confused, frightened. I mean, it was like that. It was his look of like when I dropped him off at the airport in Nashville when we finally got back. And he looked back at me as he was walking into the airport, and he just had this like frightened look on his face. And
because he thought you were a goner, basically.
I don't know, but I drove home. I know you're not supposed to look at your phone while you're driving, but I had even bigger problems at that time.
Yeah, of course.
And I looked up treatment centers and wound up going to this place, Cumberland Heights, like probably a week later.
Yeah. Not Cumberland Farms, though.
Not Cumberland Farms, no.
That would be weird.
Yeah. Cumberland Farms still exists, I think, back
then.
Do
they really?
I think there's still a couple of them.
We have to do it.
What if I went to Cumberland Farms to get sober?
That would be great. Yeah, I would be really impressed if that happened.
You get a couple packs of smokes, Camel Wides, and a Sprite.
Camel Wides.
Yeah.
Where have they gone? In 6 years? No?
6 years.
After that. How long did you go to treatment?
Not long. I was in there for a week.
Week?
Yeah. And
that was enough.
They didn't recommend that, but so when I went in, nobody ever asked me how long. That's funny. I said, I have a big show in a week. And I do the show at the time. I did it every year in Nashville. And they said, well, I knew nothing about treatment. I didn't know. And I had no plans to be a program guy.
Right.
Probably like a lot of people that go in. I had no fucking clue what the deal was.
Sure.
And then the doctor finally saw me and he's like, well, you're not detoxing. You wound up doing what I would never recommend anybody do on their own, but you wound up doing by weaning it down on your own what I would have done for you here.
Right.
He said, in a week, if you feel like you should go, and my attitude, and I don't know if it was something that he had said or a friend had said, but you could stay in for a week, you could stay in for a year. It's really what you're going to do when you get out. Yeah. Not to say that the time spent in there doesn't prepare you more. I don't know that I would, if I had a friend or loved one and they're like, I've got a fucking drug problem or a drink problem, I think I'm going to go to rehab for a week. I don't think I would suggest that. But
you say they go longer?
What my best friend did when he dropped me off, and he's 26, 27 years sober, is do what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
That's what he did. Those were, and I was like, motherfucker.
Right.
I was so scared, dude.
Did you keep your phone with you in treatment?
No, you didn't. You couldn't have your phone.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So he said, do what they tell me to do. I had one counselor in there that took me aside, and she was like, I really want you to succeed, and I'm really worried that this isn't enough time in here for you. And I just made the decision I wanted to do this show. And I was going to go do 90 and 90 meetings. And maybe I'd already had I don't know if it's arrogant to say the confidence, because maybe I had something within me that thought I could do it because I'd stayed away from booze. And booze really was my biggest thing it was when I relapsed and I was so like, thank God I didn't drink again, but I was like weirdly stubborn where I was like, I'm going to stay away from booze, but I'm going to do all this other shit. It makes zero sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense.
It does make perfect sense?
Yeah. No, I stopped I went to treatment, got out of treatment, and I didn't go back to all the hard stuff. But what I did do is I started drinking cough syrup like it was beer.
Yeah.
I started doing poppers, loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I would take for anxiety.
Yeah.
Klonopin every once in a while.
Well, yeah, that part makes perfect sense in that I could convince myself, because I have struggled with anxiety, continue to, not as bad, thankfully, but yeah, I could convince myself that taking a couple from a friend that had it, that was okay, and them just being like, just be cool.
Yeah.
And then going to a doctor, and then the doctor giving me the script, and then it's a doctor. So it's okay, knowing full fucking well, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Like this is like the quick thing in pill or drug form is never going to be, it's never going to be okay for me.
No.
And maybe I'm lucky and very grateful that I lived through it, but where people like early on in meetings would say, I'm a grateful, recovering addict, alcohol, I'm like, oh, fuck. Are you like, but I really am, in the sense that, and I'm grateful for my relapse, because I've been shown that there is no substance. Like I go to meetings and say, I'm Sean, I'm an alcoholic, but I'm Sean, and I use that as like a Mad Libs for all kinds of addiction things.
Yeah.
I could get so far gone on any of them that I allow myself. Certainly any kind of substance.
How much time did you have when your children were born?
So, well, when I got with my partner, so that was the pandemic. How long was the pandemic?
Like the extent of it?
Extent of it, yeah.
2020 to 2021 and a half, maybe,
right.
I think.
So I got sober.
Depending on your political affiliation.
Totally.
So,
I just mean like the lockdown portion. Sure.
Got it. Right.
So yeah, we got together right after the pandemic. I had gotten sober right before. So maybe I had like 2 years.
Okay.
I think about 2 years I had when we got together. And she had a kid who's now my stepkid.
Right.
And so that was I was re-meeting, because we had dated years before very briefly, but like re-meeting this woman who, and I think if anybody's watching this that has had this situation, when you're single and you meet a man or a woman with kids, like it's a different kind of a thing than the other kind of dating, at least that I had done, where it's like you're kind of in or you're out, and it got serious pretty quick, just because the stakes are high when there's kids involved. So that was something that I would not be able to show up for at least a little bit sober, and then, I mean, fucked up.
Yeah.
And then something that, I don't know if we were recording when we were talking about this, never feeling totally at home. I share that. I feel that often. And so what my impulse is, if I feel that way sort of baseline anyway, and then say there's an argument or say things feel shaky, well, what's your impulse? If it's not to go and drink or do drugs, which it isn't, thankfully, at the moment, but it is to flee, to get the fuck out of there, to find where does feel like home. And that's been really challenging at times, and really incredible to learn about this thing I had heard about, which is the expansiveness of love if you stay, and that there's an adventure in being still, because I've always been on the move. And it's still, I'm choosing to make it all sound pretty positive, but I will say, like, there's a side to it that is hard, right? That is like, wait, what am I doing? Now we're having, there's a kid, and now we're having a kid, and do we, there's all of these kind of like rushing, conflicting thoughts. But if I was using, I would never have been able to stick around for it. And it's been very revealing to a spiritual experience, I would say.
No, it's, my now wife got pregnant about 2 months into when we were
she did.
reconnecting again. And I was maybe 4.5 months sober, I think, at that point.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah. So, and then, when my first son was born, I had 11 months and then got a year, had another daughter year after that, son 2020 during the pandemic, right? And my mother used to say this to me all the time, and this kind of gives you an insight into where she was. She's just like, oh, I really think that, your kids like saved your life. And I'm like, no, man, like my program and my recovery saved my life. That's the priority.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. If I don't have that, then I don't have them.
Yeah.
And I know that enough. And I do, 12-step, but I have like 3 therapists. I mean, I have, a pretty rigorous meditation practice, gratitude. Like I do a lot to kind of stay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it
really
takes,
it.
For some of us, it takes a lot.
It does. It does. And
somebody was saying to me the other day, it was like, isn't it just fucking crazy that we have to do all this stuff just to be normal?
Just to be normal. Do you have any concept of when people tell you you have to practice some self-love or self-care? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And did that always make sense? Was that always available to you, or did you have to learn that?
I have struggled with what a therapist referred to as sustainable self-esteem. And
you outsource the self-esteem.
Outsource it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm making progress, but still it isn't, I don't know if it is for anybody, but it isn't.
Yeah.
I don't wake up every morning just like, let's fucking go. In fact, I got to lay there for 20 minutes. Thankfully, my partner understands.
You're not a rise and grinder.
I'm not a rise and grinder. Well, I rise and get on grinder.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, do you think that
if you mean am I horny in the morning? Sometimes.
No, I'm meaning just like,
no, I know what you mean.
Are you a crypto person? I mean, but
not crypto. But no, I wake up generally in a foggy state of who am I? What are we all doing here? What the fuck is going on? And then, have to kind of come into the day.
Got it.
And I will say, I completely agree with you that the sobriety comes first, and without it, we won't have our family and these other things. 1,000%. If my little boy is crying and it's time to get him out of bed, or he walks into the room and I look at his face, that gets me into myself pretty quickly.
How old is he?
He's 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Cruising.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Talking a bunch.
And then how does he refer to you? Does he call you dad? Pop?
Dada.
Dada.
Yeah.
When was the first time he said that to you?
He calls me Dada. He calls me Dada Duty. Dada Pickle.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was the first time? I don't know. Maybe when he was 1-ish.
I remember that freaking me out a lot when my first son called me Papa, because I'm like, hey, I've never called myself Papa. I don't have papas in my life. I don't. That seems like something you kind of assigned to yourself. And he just kind of called it safely. But when he said it, and I was like, oh man, it's seeing me in a way that I say he, but he's seeing me in a way that, oh, I get this now. This is the way I think I've always wanted to be looked at.
Yeah.
And this is what I was searching for a lot. Like, at least it filled some of that, right?
Definitely.
And then there's this picture that was taken, I guess, of him and me at that age. And, I'm not like was never really a kind of an emotive person. I could manipulate people and kind of just like, perform and cry on cue and stuff like that. But there's this picture that my wife took of me, and I'm holding him and hugging him, but I'm like holding on for dear life. I'm just like, I can't let this part go. Whatever this is, like this is this part that I've been looking for a lot of the time. And also just, as they get older, and then like I grieve their eventual moving out of the house.
We're not quite there yet, but
no,
I can only imagine.
But I mean, it's they're 8, 7, and 6. They're still little kids, but this really fucked me up. So my daughter turned 7 in October. My daughter kind of just like, is one of those people that freaks out over her birthday. It's like counting, 18 more sleeps until I'm 7, right? And and we have a bedtime routine every single time. And like, she's very excited for her birthday. And then I put her to bed and we do this routine where just like, I give her water. She says, and then she gets a kiss and it's like that. And I said, goodbye. I said, instead of like, good night, Ivy, I said, goodbye, 6-year-old Ivy. And I was just like, oh,
yeah,
fuck. Because then she wakes up and it's not that person. I was like,
I think where I'm at, because my partner, Alyssa, has expressed a lot of that to me with our kids. And for me, it's being my first go around with it, at least for Silver, our 2.5-year-old. These stages are so great because he went from the blob person, which I adored.
It's a great blob. Yeah.
Never been more in love with anything, but it was still just a little blob that I couldn't really interact with, didn't need me for anything, to now we're starting to get to like go out and kick it together. And we can have little chats and stuff like that. So I'm stoked for this stage where even more personality comes into it. But I can only imagine as they get older that is, another thing for us to attach.
Oh, it's 100%.
There's constant.
100%. Yeah. But I'm really happy that I think the one thing I can actually definitively say in my life is that I'm a good dad.
Yeah.
Right? Which, I mean,
it's kind of the best thing to be.
But it was not something that I ever anticipated either. I mean, it's unequivocal for me, weirdly enough, because it's just like, I know the attention that I'm paying to them. And I'm also just like knowing what I grew up with and the things that I'm just like trying to kind of, the things that I want to do differently and reparent, right?
Yeah.
Myself and them simultaneously, right? And that's a wonderful thing to be. That's where my self-awareness comes in, is when I'm parenting, right? More than I still have trouble with me, like recognizing it, but I can. We don't yell that much in our household. I mean, it gets crazy. You'll see. But I mean, at the same time, there's what is the difference is I go in for the hug right away. I don't simmer.
Yeah.
I don't because I mean, I can still feel the silence of my father in the other room on the couch. I can feel the way the sound of his footsteps on the carpet, and know exactly how much he hates me.
Yeah.
In that moment, right? And that's the thing that I never want to do. And I'm very, very cautious and careful about them that way. And I think that that's really the gift of kind of recognizing, just like turning negative emotions into something positive for someone else at that point.
Totally. Same so far. I mean, the two things that I wanted to be when I was little was a musician and a dad someday. And it took a long time. The musician part happened pretty quick, and the dad happened, pretty recently.
I was 42.
Oh, you were? Me too.
When I had my first,
We're basically the same fucking person.
Basically same person, yeah.
I think I was 42.
Yeah.
I think my goal there is to be, it sounds, I guess, sort of cliche, but it's just to be present and loving and kind of know that I don't know what I'm doing, but also there's an ancient thing that happens that you kind of do as well, which is pretty extraordinary. And now doing the dance of being, the traveling musician on tour and a dad, which is awesome and challenging,
Yeah.
But they both feed one another. So I got to be out here doing it, and we'll see particularly as the 2-year-old gets a little older, how all that works.
Yeah. Do you get lonely on the road?
Not these days. Mm-mm.
Got it.
Have I been lonely on the road? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I'm going from a full house, 2 kids, my partner, a bunch of dogs.
That's good.
To a Sprinter van with my guys. Weirder that I could get lonely and confused at home more often than I do on the road.
Okay.
Not necessarily with my particular home situation.
Got it.
But home was always the hardest part for me.
Right. How were you as a sleeper?
Great. It's one thing I didn't get, though I've got a little bit of a headache today. I don't struggle from headaches or sleeping. I sleep like a drunken baby.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people like us are.
I like bedtime, no idea what that is. Like, even though I've been, married for I still, couch feels better to me.
Yeah, I love the couch.
Floor feels better to me. Like, I don't know what it is. I got in trouble in rehab when I was staying with a bunch of 20-year-olds at the time, but I would wait till everybody else got to sleep, and then I would be on the couch and I needed the television on.
Yeah.
I thought that was just like, that's my wind down time. But they frown against that. And I was getting in trouble for it. And they threatened to take the television out of the room. And I had to kind of just do bedtime. And that didn't make me feel good. But
so many similarities, it's a little weird. I don't fall asleep with the TV on at home because Alyssa does not fall asleep with the TV on at home, my partner. Every night in the hotel, TV's on. There was an Airbnb to start the tour, bunch of bedrooms. Yeah. I slept on the living room couch with the TV on.
Yeah.
A couch with the TV on is luxurious to me.
I have to do one of the things I reward myself with. If it's just like if I had like a long work day and I did everything that I was supposed to do, I'm like, okay, now everybody's in bed and I'll turn on the laptop and I will watch violent movies to decompress and calm myself down.
Yeah. I watch true crime to do the same.
Yeah.
I've been watching lately like boxing and UFC highlight clips.
That's...
And I'm not a violent man. I'm a peaceful man.
There's this like stuff on YouTube, which I get fed, which is just like, 25 most violent movie moments in the last 20, and I'm just hooked on that and just like constantly going through this stuff, For me, it's just the comfort in, I don't even know if it's being scared or some sort of impulse that I want, or just, I don't know why it relaxes me. I don't know why it feels like, I think it feels illicit, and it feels like something that I'm kind of giving myself as something I know I can't watch in front of my kids, something I can't watch, that it's my time to do that. But here's the thing, it's just like, I also, I'm like, okay, I know the benefits of going to bed at 10 o'clock, putting on face cream, some shit like that, like whatever, winding down, listening to a podcast to fall asleep. Like I've had that experience. And then, when I dream at night, I'm like, oh, wow, great. I get it. Sleep's cool.
Yeah.
But I still can't convince myself that it's any better than me staying up,
I definitely
Jason
couldn't.
Statham movies.
I definitely couldn't convince myself of that when I was on drugs. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. But let's talk about this, because I am interested in terms of the process of you putting this out. Like, what is the first time when you're like, okay, this is the album I'm going to put out next, and then you're working with Greta Van Fleet on this, and then you're like, what does song one look like? What is that process?
The process didn't feel like a process at the moment that started the process.
Okay.
In that So I met both Sam and Daniel from the band Greta Van Fleet. They had come to this little show that I did in Nashville. And they were very kind. Sam invited me, he's the bass player in the band, invited me to come to a studio that they had rented out because they were working on a new record. And I was, maybe this goes into some stuff that we were talking about before. I was flattered that they came to the show and wanted me to come by, but I was like, I wouldn't even know what to do. Yeah. Like I've got my people that I do that sort of thing with, and I don't know what to do with people outside of that.
Mm-hmm. They're very young too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very young.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, thanks. I'm a little tired. I'm just going to go home. And then Sam kept texting me and I was like, all right, I'll fucking drive over there. So I drove over. And then the beauty of music and the beauty of just any kind of art form, I think, is once, regardless of age or style or whatever, it's like once you're in that energy and you're speaking that language, it kind of blasts off all of the other shit, and it either feels good or it doesn't.
Sam recognized that would be a good match before you did, or did you feel that?
Well, I think Sam, they from what I don't want to misrepresent them, but they were fans or had known some of my music to the extent that they came out to that show and wanted to meet. And then I tend to think Sam is I think maybe Sam did see it far before I did. And so we went and basically, played some, but just became friends from that experience.
Right.
And kept in touch, kept hanging out, played some music together. They had us come out and do a few shows for their band, which were super fun. And I don't know if it was a year. As I said, I'm terrible with time. At least a year later, they were off the road and I was off the road. And Sam and I just decided to link up and work on some music. And I just was fired up at that time. And I just had a lot of different songs that I had written, but also just a lot of ideas, and was trying to write riffs on the guitar that are very different than what I had been doing prior to. Yeah. And took it over there. I wanted to play loud music, so we had electric guitars, amplifiers, of course. And it just felt good. So he called Daniel, come on over. Daniel drove over. So it was just kind of, it reminds me of, and I've said in some other talks that I've had, of the experience that I romanticized that I didn't really have in Pennsylvania, which was like just the kid like in the garage or the basement kind of band. And that's what basically started happening. Was every couple days I would have a new idea, call Sam, go over, Daniel would come over, and then we were just like a fucking rock band playing in the living room, and songs came together really quickly. So the process went from a no pressure, this wasn't to necessarily at first to make a record out of this stuff, to we got a bunch of songs, now let's go make a record.
Do you have a favorite? Can you make that like...
there's a song called Dream Come True that I really like.
Yeah.
I really do. I haven't listened to the record in a minute, but I listened to it a lot making it.
No, Loyalty is my favorite.
I love playing Loyalty.
It's a really good song. Doesn't sound like any of the stuff that I had heard, kind of the entry point for me, and then just like to have that song kind of be very...
Yeah, it's very different from anything else.
But it also is just like it's standalone as a song itself, and just like everything comes together with the band, I think, on that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of how that came out, and it speaks to things that I think you could relate to.
Got it. Yeah. Are you on the Langhorne Wikipedia page?
Haven't checked the Langhorne Wikipedia page, but my mother, I don't know who's printing the Langhorne notable people.
Yeah.
But somebody, she sees it somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm not on Langhorne's notables,
that would be so
I'm going to
weird.
go burn the town down.
It's in your name, man.
It's in my name. I mean, they should give me a key. Something.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, man. Well, it was really nice to talk to you.
You too, brother. Pleasure.